What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Basement Philosophy. Sorry it's taken so long to get this up. I cracked a tooth, and this is the first week in a while that I feel like I can talk. So I felt like I could take the opportunity to talk. There's a quote by Hunter S. Thompson that I saw. It said, someone who procrastinates a man who procrastinates in his choices will have his choices made by circumstance. And that's exactly what happened. So I broke a tooth because of just years of procrastination. But here we are. We're here chit-chatting. Today's quote by a Russian filmmaker named Dziga Vertov. It's, I am the machine that shows you the world as I alone am able to show you. And we're going to talk about Perseus. We're going to talk about him battling Medusa. We're going to talk about his perception and how his way of dealing with the situation, and no one else had dealt with it before like that, got him the win. And that's it. And as always, every episode is brought to you by HIP, alternative coffee, barley coffee, caffeine-free, protein, fiber, everything you need to be a badass in your day. Pick up your bag now. And that's about it. Here we go, episode 3.
They ain't come from my club, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Yeah, who don't play?
The story of Perseus and Medusa. The myth of Perseus and Medusa is one of the most famous tales from Greek mythology. It is a story of bravery, cleverness, and divine intervention that highlights the unique perspective and approach of its hero. Perseus was the son of Danae and Zeus. His story begins with a prophecy that Danae's father, King Acrisius of Argos, would be killed by his grandson. To prevent this, Acrisius imprisoned Danae in a bronze chamber to keep her from conceiving a child. Zeus visited Danae, and she became pregnant with Perseus. I wonder how that happened. When Perseus was born, Acrisius, fearing the prophecy, set Danae and her infant son adrift in a chest upon the sea. They were eventually rescued by the kind fisherman Dictys, who raised Perseus as his own son on the island of Seriphus. Perseus grew up unaware of his divine heritage and the fate that awaited him. As Perseus matured into a strong and brave young man, he attracted the attention of King Polydectes of Seriphus. Dictys' brother, Polydectes, desired Danae and sought to rid himself of Perseus. He devised a plan to send Perseus on a dangerous quest, hoping he would not return. Polydectes announced his intention to marry Hippodamia and demanded that each guest bring a horse as a wedding gift. Perseus, lacking a horse, boldly declared that he could bring Polydectes anything he desired, even the head of Medusa. Polydectes seized this opportunity and commanded Perseus to fulfill his boast, sending him on a perilous mission. Medusa was one of 3 Gorgons, sisters with monstrous features. While her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, were immortal, Medusa was mortal. The Gorgons had snakes for hair, and their gaze could turn anyone who looked at them into stone. Medusa, once a beautiful maiden, had been cursed by Athena, transforming her into the fearsome creature she had become. Perseus, though brave, knew he could not defeat Medusa without divine assistance. The gods, recognizing his noble heart and the justice of his cause, provided him with magical tools to aid his quest. Hermes, the messenger god, gave Perseus winged sandals to fly. Athena provided him with a polished bronze shield. He also received a sword from I'm going to do it again, guys. Hephaestus, and a helmet of invisibility from Hades. I'm doing better this week. I'm doing way better this week. With these gifts, Perseus set out to find the Graii, 3 ancient sisters who shared one eye and one tooth among them. By stealing their eye, Perseus forced them to reveal the location of the Gorgons. The Graii, unable to resist, directed him to the abode of the Gorgons. The journey to the Gorgons' lair was long and arduous. When Perseus finally arrived, he found the Gorgons asleep in their cave. The cave was dark and filled with petrified remains of those who had dared to face Medusa before him. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and Perseus knew that one wrong move could seal his fate. Using the polished shield as a mirror to avoid Medusa's petrifying gaze, Perseus carefully approached her. Each step was deliberate and measured, guided by Athena's wisdom. The reflective surface of the shield allowed Perseus to see Medusa indirectly, showing him her position without risking direct eye contact. Something that had not been done before he decided to use his own perception to do it. Medusa lay amidst her sleeping sisters, her serpentine hair coiled around her. As Perseus drew closer, the serpent sensed his presence and began to hiss, stirring Medusa from her slumber. Guided by his divine tools, Perseus raised the sword given to him by Hephaestus. Sorry guys, I'm just going to mute this. People always want to text when I'm making a killer story here. Perseus raised the sword given to him by Hephaestus. With a swift and precise motion, he beheaded Medusa, avoiding her deadly gaze even in her final moments. From Medusa's blood sprang Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, a giant wielding a golden sword. Perseus carefully placed Medusa's head in a special bag to prevent its deadly gaze from harming him or anyone else. This act of using Medusa's power as a tool rather than a threat demonstrated Perseus's unique ability to transform danger into a means of protection and triumph. On his return journey, Perseus encountered many adventures. One of the most notable was his encounter with Andromeda. Andromeda, the daughter of King Cepheus and Queen Cassiopeia, was chained to a rock as a sacrifice to a sea monster sent by Poseidon. Cassiopeia had boasted that her daughter was more beautiful than the Nereids, angering the sea god. Perseus, captivated by Andromeda's beauty and plight, used Medusa's head to turn the sea monster to stone, rescuing her. He then claimed Andromeda as his bride, with her parents' grateful consent. Upon returning to Sirphios, Perseus discovered that Polydectes had been abusing Danae in his absence. In a dramatic confrontation, Perseus used Medusa's head to turn Polydectes and his followers to stone, freeing his mother and the island from the tyrant's rule. Perseus made Dictys the new king of Seriphos, ensuring a just and benevolent ruler for the people. With his mother safe and his quest complete, Perseus decided to return to Argos with Andromeda. However, the prophecy about Acrisius still loomed over him. In an attempt to avoid his fate, Acrisius fled when he heard of Perseus' return. Yet destiny is a force that cannot easily be thwarted. Years later, during an athletic competition, Perseus accidentally struck Acrisius with a discus, fulfilling the prophecy. Though accidental, this event underscored the inescapable nature of fate in Greek mythology. The myth of Perseus and Medusa is a timeless tale that encapsulates the essence of heroism and the power of a unique perspective. Perseus, with his divine gifts and clever approach, was able to see and show the world in a way that no one else could. His story highlights the importance of ingenuity and the ability to transform challenges into triumphs. Through his journey, Perseus not only fulfilled his destiny, but also left a legacy that continues to inspire and captivate audiences to this day. And that is the story of Perseus and Medusa. And I'm going to have a sip once again. Delicious sip, guys. Welcome to episode 3. There we go. That's the story of Perseus and Medusa, which leads us into the quote of the week this week. And our quote this week from the book, from our ebook, Basement Philosophy, is, it's a personal favorite of mine. It's something that when I found it, I think anyone who's doing any in a creative field or starting a business or anything kind of needs to hear, and it needs to be something that you have to march forward with because it's important, and it's something that if you don't necessarily take things this way and just try to blend in, you're probably going to get caught in the wash, and whatever you're doing is probably not going to end up being something unique. But this quote right here by the Russian filmmaker Dziga Vertov is, "I am the machine that reveals the world to you as only I alone am able to see it." And I found this quote. I can't even remember where I found it. I took in school, I took a ton of film classes. I think it came across in one of our film theory classes about Dziga Vertov. And Dziga Vertov created the cinema verite style of filmmaking, which is essentially documentary style filmmaking, but fly on the wall. So I guess in modern terms, I would say, I'm a big sports guy, so maybe a lot like Hard Knocks, where, you see the camera there, the camera's there, but it's not necessarily interacting with what's going on. And he created that style of filmmaking. And this quote sort of encapsulates what he was trying to do when capturing whatever it was, right? And because it was fly on the wall, he allowed the world to sort of play out in front of him, but he only let you see what he wanted you to see. And the notion of I am the machine that shows you the world as I alone am able to see it, it's that right there to me is a play on, your perception of how things play out in the world. And when you're doing something like filmmaking, or you're doing something like creating a product, or you're in business, or you're a coach, or whatever it is that you do, all of your experiences sort of add up to whatever it is that you're exposing to the world, right? And I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that the point of whatever it is you're trying to do is to live your life through whatever that is you are trying to accomplish in your own unique way. I think what people do, and it's fear-based. I mean, with HIP, I was definitely scared to start it because where I wanted to take it, I figured it's a place where, it's a little bit weird. I know it's weird. It's, I don't know. You never know what you've got until you fire it out into the universe and you see what comes back, right? You just throw your fishing rod out there and you see what you end up hooking, and you end up, does it work? Does it not work? I mean, the market will tell you. That's the good thing about stuff like this, is that you will know if it works or not. But the ability to start and shoot whatever shot you feel like taking and doing it your way is so important. And that's why I wanted to do that quote this week, because for the first time, I bought a can of Liquid Death. And for me, you've all heard of it. It's sponsored by every podcast. It's every podcast sponsor right now. Definitely not this one. Liquid Death is every good podcast sponsor. It's everywhere right now. And when it first came out, like everyone, I thought it was pretty stupid. But when you dig into the history of this and how, the founder, I think his name is Mike Cesario. Mike Cesario might be a fellow Italian, and I'm butchering his last name. But when he's, where he came from and how he thought of it, I love stories like that. And to dive into the history a little bit of Liquid Death and where it came from and why it is the way it is, and his perspective and how he created. I mean, it's worth, I think the last time I checked, it's worth like $700 million. I think it's the fastest growing water company in the history of water companies. So you guys are going to get two stories today, because I wanted to just give you guys, like a breakdown of it. I used the AI to help me with this. I used AI to break down the story a little bit. So I apologize if it's a little bit lengthier. I just want to make sure I got the points here. But, obviously not sponsored by Liquid Death, but the story of it and how he used his perception, right? He's the machine in which how he wants you to see his world, and to come up with something like Liquid Death that just popped out of, I think it started in 2017. From 2017, and then now, like, it's in Eminem's Houdini video, and it's on every podcast. It's been, I believe it was Two Bears, I think Segura and Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer's podcast. I think it's been a really long standing sponsor of them. And I think it's great. I think it's, I was up in my hometown a little while ago. I think they only sell it in the States. So I went over and I just wanted to try a can and just see what was going on. And it's fucking spring water. Like, it's just sparkling water. And the machine he created around it is so cool. So I just wanted to, this episode's not going to be about Liquid Death, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of the story of Liquid Death. And just, because to me, this sort of embodies the entire thing of I'm showing you the world the way I see it, right? Founding an early concept. Liquid Death, an irreverent, provocative canned water brand, was founded in 2017 by Mike Cesario. With a background in marketing and advertising, Cesario had worked as a creative director for companies like Netflix, where he helped launch hit series such as House of Cards and Stranger Things. His experience in creating compelling narratives and viral marketing campaigns led the foundation for what would become Liquid Death. Not only that, there's an awesome documentary about how before Liquid Death, he actually was trying something different with brandy. And he noticed that all of the brandies that were out there or that were available were all in a specific type of bottle. It was fluffy and floofy and kind of bougie. And they tried, the original product is they tried to make brandy, I believe it was a little bit more down to earth. That idea didn't necessarily work, but it led to the idea of Liquid Death, right? So Cesario's inspiration for Liquid Death came from his observations of the energy drink market and the heavy metal music scene. He noticed that energy drinks were marketed with edgy, aggressive branding, while water was often presented in a bland, unexciting manner. Recognizing an opportunity to disrupt the water market, Cesario combined the purity of water and the rebellious image of energy drinks. The name Liquid Death was chosen to provoke curiosity and stand out on store shelves, aligning with the brand's mission to make water fun and appealing to a younger, more adventurous audience. Not only that, when he was on, I believe the shows we're talking about, he was on Warped Tour, and he noticed that all of the acts would pour out like Monster energy drink or whatever it was, and then fill it with water, and then just drink. They would honor their sponsorships, but it would be a can filled with water. Cesario's marketing expertise led to some unique and viral campaigns. One notable campaign involved creating a fake infomercial that mimicked late-night TV advertisements, complete with exaggerated claims and over-the-top acting. This video quickly went viral, attracting millions of views and significantly boosting brand awareness. The combination of clever marketing and a strong online presence helped Liquid Death generate a significant buzz in sales. And I think the video they're referring to, the one that I know of, is the one, if you go on the website, I think it's the one up top where, it's a woman pouring a can. And he said that they made that video for like $1,200. And the woman in the video, I think, is his wife's friend who was an actress. And they're waterboarding someone, which fits the brand so perfectly, right? And I think that might be the one that they're talking about. I'm not 100% sure, but even right off the hop, like something out of the, a shot out of the cannon like that, like a punch in the mouth, right? Like, it's just water, guys, but this whole universe that he created. Funding and financial growth. Liquid Death struggled to secure funding due to its unconventional branding and skepticism about the viability of selling canned water. However, in 2019, the company secured $1.6 million in seed funding from Science Inc., a startup studio known for its investments in disruptive consumer brands. This initial investment was used to refine the product, expand marketing efforts, and build a robust distribution network. The company's unique approach quickly paid off. By 2020, what was going on in 2020? We were all sitting around, and then Liquid Death comes along, right? In 2020, Liquid Death had raised an additional $9 million in Series A funding, led by Velvet Seed Ventures, with participation from existing investors like Science Inc. The new investors such as Live Nation. Holy shit! So the company that puts on all of your concerts decided to get behind it. This round of funding allowed Liquid Death to scale its operations, expand its product line, and increase its presence in retail. Now here comes the revenue. This is what happens when, this is why I wanted to use Liquid Death this week as sort of a not only is it a product, right? It's a product. It's something that it's a physical thing, but there's a brand around it, right? You hear Liquid Death, and it's so weird. It's strange, and it people hate it, people love it, but this is the payoff for thinking a little bit outside of the box. Liquid Death's revenue growth has been nothing short of impressive. In its early years, the company focused on direct-to-consumer sales through its website and online platforms like Amazon. By 2020, the company reported $2.8 million in revenue, a remarkable achievement for a relatively new entrant into the competitive beverage market. The momentum continued in 2021, with Liquid Death's revenue surpassing $10 million. This growth was driven by an expanded retail presence, including partnerships with major chains like Whole Foods, 7-Eleven, and Sprouts Farmers Market. The company's success also attracted the attention of high-profile investors and celebrities, further boosting its visibility and credibility. In 2022, Liquid Death's revenue reached approximately $45 million. Damn. Reflecting a continued upward trajectory. The company's ability to tap into the growing demand for sustainable products and its innovative marketing strategies played a significant role in this growth. By 2023, Liquid Death had reportedly achieved a revenue run rate of over $100 million. Fucking sparkling water, guys. Water in general, cementing its status as a major player in the beverage industry. So this is what I mean about seeing the world through your own perspective, right? And I know maybe there's people watching that are thinking about an idea, or they have something in the chamber and they're just, I want to make it like something, right? This is, I think when we all start, I for sure with HIP I had an idea, and this kind of was an inspiration where I wanted to go, and as I go on with it, which is funny, as you continue to do something, you realize like maybe you should even go further with it. I'm trying to do, I've got the Stoic, the Greek mythology, but the thing I love about Liquid Death is they went balls to the wall. They went straight. I mean, death is in the name, and it's just water, and it's created this massive buzz, and it's everywhere. So to be able to, use Liquid Death as sort of a from afar, mentor, you would say. I think everyone watching has an idea that might be a little bit out there, and that's why it's so important to implement it. Like, try it out, go do it, figure it out what exactly you want to say, make it concise, make it coherent, and go out and figure it out. And the thing about looking stupid is that looking stupid kind of doesn't really exist, because when you're looking through the world through your lens, right? It's you in the driver's seat, and the people that think it's stupid are probably the people that, no matter what you did, they probably were going to think it was stupid, right? But when you do it, and the people around you that care about you and that love you, you're just going to solidify them even more. They're going to rally around that, whatever it is that you're doing. And if it's out there, they're going to support you even more. So it's okay. It's okay if you're being, I don't want to say inflammatory, but if you're for everyone, you're for no one. And when people create things off, and I mean, I did it off the hop too. I think I'm still in the middle of it, but you think in your head that you want to be, I want mass appeal. I was just talking to someone today about, there's the sales calls and the distribution stuff for HIP, and, the types of things we were talking about. In my head, I go, this sounds like I'm trying to be a little bit too general. And I think when you start, I mean, not niching down too hard, but when you start becoming something that, puts people on a side as a product, I mean, don't have to be inflammatory or anything like that, but when you obviously have a target and a target audience, that's when you start seeing some really interesting gains. Like, if you have a perspective, there's a good chance that other people have that perspective as well. So whatever you want to create that you might think is stupid or silly or out there or dumb, when you create it, there's probably other people that agree with whatever it is that you're talking about or you're trying to produce, right? And then that can go good for bad. And we've seen in the world today how, the polarizing effect of everything. But if we're keeping it to business and we're keeping it to a product or a personal brand or a brand of any kind, or, you know, in my case, you know, in filmmaking and in video, I'm keeping key in this fucking bag. Sorry, guys. In video production, I mean, my inspirations growing up with making videos was, I saw Saving Private Ryan when I was like, I think I was 8 years old, and it changed my life, that movie. And that first half hour, if you've never seen Saving Private Ryan, A, what the fuck, but B, if you watch anything about it, watch the first half hour, because that right there, not only is it widely known as one of probably the greatest a depiction of war, the most accurate depiction of war, but if you're a film geek like me, I dove into the special features and how they created there's a feeling that doesn't exist in any movie like that anymore. There's this visceral, you know, grimy grit thing that I saw at a young age, and it just stuck with me. And moving forward, anything I made in my life from that moment on was, how can I make it look like Saving Private Ryan? And not everything can be made like that. I mean, I worked in professional sports for a while, so you know, pro sports, especially football, I did a lot of work in football, and it adds up. You know, if you ever played the game, it's a violent game, right? It kind of adds up a little bit. You can shoot football the same type of way, that handheld, shaky, everything's off axis. You can color it fun. You can make it look cool as shit. And when I started doing that, my stuff started becoming a little bit different than everyone else's, right? My perception of what I wanted to make. And it just looked different. It looked different. It felt different. And it kind of separated me from whatever else was going on. So, I was fortunate enough that, you know, at the time, enough people wanted to see that kind of thing that I was able to build a little bit of a career out of it. And then, you know, here I am now. You know, as you get older and as you get better and more experienced, you start understanding that there's a refinement that happens, right? So I compare it to, like, you know, there's an R.A. Dickey knuckleball documentary where I believe after his surgery, he was talking to someone about how he lost juice on his fastball. And the only thing he has now is his knuckleball, but he needs to learn how to throw his knuckleball harder. And his pitching coach had said, no. Now you have to learn how to throw the knuckleball slower. And if you take that concept of learning how to dial down and pull it back, that's where, you know, the real seed happens, the real juices happen, where, you know, now, you know, not everything I shoot looks like Saving Private Ryan, but if I wanted to go there, I can. And that's, you know, once you live in that space of, it's got to be intense and it's got to be, you know, a shot out of the cannon every time, you know, the talent or the ability to pull back becomes, you know, a honed skill. So now you kind of have everything. You can switch gears, you can go intense, you can kind of chill out. And that's the beauty of doing things your own way and doing things with your perception and being the machine that shows people your world. And it's a beautiful thing when you can align that with whatever it is you love doing. So whether you do want to start a product, or whether you're a filmmaker or a musician or a coach or whatever you are, you know, the ability to do things your way and be able to switch in, switch out, be generic, but also be, you know, your own thing, you know, to the best of your ability it's a great thing. And if you're afraid of doing that, to look stupid doesn't exist, because it's your perspective. There's 8 billion people in the world, and your perspective is one of 8 billion. And I'm going to go ahead and say there's probably not too many people with your exact perspective. There may be people that share the same value, share the same overarching theme, right? But it's your perspective. That's why we have so many musicians. That's why we have so many film directors. That's why we have so many pairs of shoes and coffee and, you know, whatever brand you want, because it's a perspective. It's someone said, I see the world this way, and this is what I want it to be. And then also too, as I said, you don't want to be for everybody. You don't want to be for everybody. I'm sure you in your real life, you know, there's people that love you and there's people that don't really like you. And that's the best thing ever, because if you're one of those people that's liked by everybody, there's a war within yourself. And when you're switching this stuff to creativity, when you're switching this stuff to creating something for people and for, the world at large, don't be for everybody. That's something that we all kind of fall into, I think, when we're starting, because we're scared. I think that's a fear tactic, is you just, I just want to be loved by everybody. When you're creating something, be you. People aren't going to like it, and that's fine. It's sick. Fuck them. They can go, buy something else. Go buy another, there's a million other, actually there's not that many, but there's other alternative coffees out there. Go buy that one. Don't buy this one, right? And then what else do I have in my notes here? I had a couple notes. Yeah. And then, the most important thing is to elicit an emotion, right? And what you're going to elicit is something that comes within you. And once you elicit once you put it out in the world in that way, there's going to be people that rally around that. So whether it's coffee, whether it's shoes, videos, whatever, however you put it out into the world, there's going to be people that are going to rally around it. And then it'll be up to you if you want to continue it, right? Like I said, we're so new with HIP. I don't know if, we're 6 months in. I'm not sure if people are going to rally around it. It's been a pretty fun, it's been a pretty fun entry into it. I've learned a lot. It's tough. I mean, it's the back end stuff. I mean, I'm learning how expensive shipping is. Like, that's fucking crazy. But the back end stuff, you're learning as you go. But the vision behind HIP and what I want to do with it, I'm not wavering from that. That's gonna I'm gonna set sail with that and kind of see what comes out the other end, right? And then finally, so to kind of leave you with an idea that, the reason why I wanted to go with, I am the machine that shows you the world, is that I was reading. I'm a big reader. I like to read all things. I've read the little book of black holes, and right now I'm reading Joey Diaz's autobiography. So I read everything. And a little while ago, I read Annika Harris, so Sam Harris's wife. I read Annika Harris's book called Consciousness, or Conscious. I think it's called Conscious. I have it on my bookshelf. I forget. I think it's called Conscious. And there's a really interesting point that sums up this entire thing that she made about the concept of consciousness. And it's that we all think consciousness is something that's in us. Sam Harris talks about living behind your eyes, right? Or on having no head. And, that you are living, behind yourself, behind your eyes, essentially. And in her book, it's a short book, check it out. It's an awesome book. It's a brain bender. She talks about how consciousness might not necessarily be something that is inherently inside of us. We are essentially, what she had put was, we are essentially film cameras. I believe in the book, this is the way she put it. We are film cameras, and we take the film of the universe, and that is what our consciousness is. Our consciousness comes from outside, and we are just antennas that take these ideas and then put them out into the world. Any way that, it's shaped by our experiences, it's shaped by what we're up to, our wins, our losses, and it's a beautiful way to put that, because, whatever your experiences is, there's her theory is that consciousness isn't necessarily something that comes from within. It's outside, and we're just the film cameras that take it and put it on the wall in any way that we choose to. So I think that's it. I think that was what I wanted to talk about. A little bit up in the air today, a little bit, a little bit frou-frou today, a little bit ethereal, but I think the quote, it's really cool. It's in the book. It's something I've had that quote kicking around my quote section of my phone for years now. And I want to talk about it a little bit. So I'm trying to think, what else here? What else do I have? Yeah, I am the machine. Let me just double, triple check it here. I have it written down here just so I don't fuck it up. I am the machine that reveals the world to you as only I alone and able to see it. So moving forward, whatever you're up to, whether you want to create something, whether you want to do something, do it your way. Don't listen to anybody. All right. Do it your way. Do it the way you want to do it, and create it yourself, because then you're going to love it. You're going to love working on it every day, and you're going to become great at it, whatever it is. And that's that. I'm sitting here talking to you like I've created something incredible. I'm on the journey like you guys too, and we're just having fun with it. At the end of the day, moral of the story is have fun with it and do what you want to do with it. So that's that, guys. Episode 3. The reason why it took so long to get around to this is because I cracked a tooth. I cracked a back molar, and this is like the first week that I've been able to speak without slurring. I had a kernel or a shell, something, crack a tooth, painful, and so I had to wait. But here I am. Hopefully you guys love this episode, and that's about it. So stay tuned. Episode 4 is coming soon. I'm working on it right now. Episode 4 coming soon. And that's about it, guys. So do your thing, do it your way. Don't listen to people. You are the machine that shows people the world the only way that you can show them. Fire it up, whatever it is. See you next time. Thanks for listening.